Modding the beautiful IBM Model M should be a crime. I'm Jen Cutter from Open Alpha. You're watching Hak5.
Hey Hacklings, welcome to episode number 4 of Hak5. I'm your host Wes.
And I'm Darren. And this episode we've got a ton of good stuff going on. And you know, too much to even list. So we're going to get into a classic mod segment. But first, if you're watching on the 5th, November 5th, and you'd like to join the party, we are most likely hanging out on IRC in pound Hak5 on the TechFile IRC network. That would be irc.techfile.ca. So, if you'd like, you can join us there. But on with the episode.
Yeah, well, as soon as I make my glass meet your glass.
Well, come on, dude. It's close enough.
All in good taste. So, join the party.
Cheers to episode 4.
Cheers. Hey Hacklings, it's Wes again, and I'm coming back with a mod that I think you'll kind of enjoy. But before I go into what the mod actually is and how to do it, I need to give you a little background on it and tell you where it came from and just how it evolved from there. So let's go look at that first. Alright, so the whole idea for this mod was basically born of me and Darren sitting here on the couch, just like this, playing video games, and we just kind of broke out into discussion.
Dude, playing Street Fighter sucks with controllers.
Dude, you ain't lying.
I want an arcade so bad.
I do too.
You want to go down to that crappy one at the pizza shop?
Dude, that's not even a freaking arcade. There's none around here.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what we need?
What?
We need our own cab.
We can't afford an arcade cabinet. And where do we have the room for it with the set and everything? Come on.
Dude, I'm telling you, I can make a cab for less than $100, and it'll fit on a bar top.
You serious?
Yeah, I know I can do it.
Can you do it for the show?
Of course I'll do it for the show.
Can you have it by Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah, I can have it done by Thursday.
Alright.
Alright, my mission now is to build this mini arcade that'll fit on top of a bar counter and cost less than $100. So, first things first, I need to go do some design work.
Hey, what's up, Wes?
Hey, what's up, D?
Chillin'. What you working on?
I'm actually working on the plans for the arcade as we speak.
Oh, sweet. This is going to be on the show notes?
Yeah, I'll have it in both a bitmap form and an actual .dwg in case our viewers want to modify it as they see fit.
Sweet. Alright, thanks, man.
No problem. Alright, design's taken care of. Now the next biggest thing is parts. We have spare computers lying around and spare game controllers lying around, so those are going to get recycled. However, we will not be using this. So, alright, we're gearing up to actually do all of our cuts and build this thing. But first things first, we need to take all of our plans, set them out, mark out all of our cuts in our piece of MDF, and make sure we've got enough wood for it. Just use a pencil, it's really easy, marks really well, and when you're cutting, make sure you account for losing that 1/8 of an inch while using a saw. Alright, we're ready to rock and roll, everything's laid out, time to cut. Now, safety tip. Make sure you follow all woodworking shop procedures while using power tools and keep your safety glasses on at all times. Well, except when watching the show. As far as cutting goes, since nobody's perfect, you're going to have to do some sanding to clean up those rough edges and maybe a couple of those off cuts that you might have made using your jigsaw or your circular saw. So you can use a rotary tool to take out the big portions and get some half-decent hand sandpaper to really finish it up and make it look good. One of the really good accents that's going to make this feel like a real arcade is that plexiglass cover that you'll have over the screen. To make it look really good, you can paint an outside board. Damn it, paint! I'll be right back.
God bless it.
Alright, like I was saying, we're going to use a piece of plexi for the front bezel, and you're going to paint the outside border so it gives that authentic look. You cut out your border, leaving the square in the middle, peel the protective film on the outside off. You paint that, and that paint's going to go on the inside, so when you look at it from the reverse side, it's going to look smooth, even, and just have a really, really nice gloss and an authentic look. Now that you've got all your cuts done, all that prep work, you can actually start to assemble it. Now, what I did was drill into both the edges and install L brackets on the inside, so that way you have really, really good support and you don't have to worry about it ever getting tipped over and torn up. So the cab's all assembled right now, except one vital piece, your control deck. Now for controls, we went to xarcade.com and picked up their package deal. For $30 you can pick up 2 joysticks and 20 buttons, and those 20 buttons include white player 1 and player 2 buttons. If you want that really authentic feel, you can go to hapcontrols.com and pick up the same setup, but for about twice the price. Okay, now that we've got the buttons and joysticks mounted, we have a bigger issue to tackle. That is, how are we going to interface those with the computer? There's a few different ways of going about this. You can get a custom keyboard translator like the iPack, but they're kind of pricey, so we decided to stay away from that. You can hack the interface of a keyboard directly, but since I already molested a Model M, I thought I might want to stay away from that. I'm sorry, Jen. So, we had some very inexpensive USB gamepads lying around, so I decided to hack those. Let's go take a look at that. Alright, so what we have here is what's left over of our gamepad. The way these things basically work is when you push the button down, it connects these two halves of this pad, completes the circuit, sends it to the IC, computer recognizes it. Now we have to get that kind of translation over to our actual arcade buttons. The way I went about this was to drill a hole in the trace for both the positive and the negative, solder a lead onto it, be very careful that your solder does not bridge the connection. Then on the other end, we just use these little quick connects. They slide right on these tabs here. So now, when you push this, it does the exact same thing that if you were to push a button on a normal gamepad. Computer does not know the difference, and it works just as well. Alright, hacklings, here it is, fully assembled, your own personal bar-top arcade machine. Now, let me point out a few key features. First things first, contact paper. Marbleized for most of the cab and the granite for the control deck. It looks really good and it saves you from painting. Okay, next, you can see all the buttons laid out here, but there's some accessory buttons that you cannot see right now. First are the pinball buttons on the side, so you get that same authentic feel, and on the back I have a power button installed so you don't have to crawl inside of the cab to turn the machine on. To get inside of the cab, if you need to do so, I've installed hinges and a latch on the back panel to make that access very easy. I'm going to go into the hardware next month, so hold tight. So, for less than $100 and about a weekend's worth of time, you can have your own personal arcade machine. So, any questions or comments, please see the show notes at hak5.org/forums, and I will supply the building plans for you. But until then, it's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of gum.
Bring it.
What you got, son?
Oh.
It was taking over my life. I wasn't sleeping normal hours or returning my friends' phone calls. My bills were piling up, and I was wasting away my savings account on subscription fees. My Slashdot addiction was getting serious. My friends would try to take me out, but I just log on my cell phone. I just had to get first post, or write about Soviet Russia and Beowulf clusters. Then one day, Darren told me about the Slashdot patch from Microsoft Pharmaceuticals. This tiny little once-a-month patch helped me get off Slashdot for good. Now I can enjoy my life like everybody else. I even picked up this harmless little computer game called World of Warcraft. I think I'll install it tonight. Thank you, Microsoft Pharmaceuticals. You saved my life.
Do not use a /hop patch if you are pregnant or nursing. Side effects may include blogging, digging, torting, podcasting, and projectile vomiting. Consult a physician if hair loss occurs.
So Darren, last month we demonstrated a man-in-the-middle attack using Cain and Abel and Etherreal.
Yeah, but like we also said, you can always secure yourself by using something like Gmail, which uses SSL.
You're exactly right. So this month we're going to take it a step further by doing a direct attack on the SSL protocol and show you how to decrypt SSL v3 and TLS traffic.
That sounds like a lot of fun, but I can't hack on an empty stomach. Let's go get a bite to eat, and then you can show us how it's done.
Okay.
All right, we're back from lunch. Harrison, thanks for coming back on the show. How are we going to perform this attack? Like, what's involved?
Okay, well, first of all, we're going to be using WAPix. I use WAPix version 2.7.
And that's just like Knoppix. It's a Linux live distro?
It's based on Knoppix. The author of the program basically he's a security auditor, and he was doing an audit for a company, and they said he had to use their computers and he couldn't install anything. So, I mean, how are you going to get anything done, right?
Really?
So he said, all right, well, I'll play by the rules and put all of my tools onto this one Knoppix CD and all my exploits. Basically, boot off the CD, and I got a portable hack toolkit.
Now, that's not the only portable hack toolkit. There's Knoppix STD.
Yeah, Auditor.
FLAC.
FLAC.
What does FLAC stand for?
I have no idea what it is.
Professional Hackers Linux Assault Kit.
Thank you, Wes.
Wes, thank you. Okay, so there are a bunch of different toolkits.
All right, so we're booted into WAPix. What's the first thing we need to do?
Okay, well, the first thing we're going to do is run a program called Frag Router. And this is going to route the IP traffic so that once we perform a man-in-the-middle attack, it's everything's flowing in the right direction.
Great. Okay, so once we've got that done, I just assume we start the ARP.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to use, as opposed to Cain and Abel, we're going to use ARP spoof,
okay,
which is a command line tool, and we just enter the target address, who we're going to ARP, and the gateway, and that'll position ourselves in between it.
All right. Now, that's not all that's involved in the ARP attack, though, since we're using command line.
Exactly. Since we're not, Cain and Abel does it automatically, but since we're using a variety of tools, the next thing we have to do is DNS spoof, and that will complete the attack, and it runs silently.
Okay. So once we've got DNS spoof, we're pretty much sit between them. We can see everything that's going on.
Exactly.
What do we need to get the SSL attack going on?
Well, this is the heart of the attack. What we're going to do is use a tool called WebMITM, which stands for Man in the Middle, to create a spoof certificate, and it's going to sit on the network and just listen. And as soon as the user tries to attempts to go onto a secure site, that certificate is going to come to us, and it's going to stop, go no further. Instead, the user is going to be getting our fake certificate.
So we're feeding them fake stuff. Good.
Exactly. And then what we do is just pull up Etherreal, sit on the network, and sniff up all the traffic. And as soon as the user enters, accepts the certificate, enters his password, we're going to see WebMITM is going to start getting a lot of activity. As soon as that happens, the next step is just stop the Etherreal. We can stop our scan.
Save it to a dump file.
Exactly. We don't need any more data.
So we've sniffed up the traffic. We've seen that they've gone to an SSL site like Gmail.
Right.
Now, what are we going to do? We've got encrypted packets.
Right. Well, here's the key. We can save that Etherreal traffic and then use a tool called SSL dump. Now, what that does is uses a combination of the encrypted SSL traffic that we sniffed up plus the key pair.
Because we created the certificate.
We created the certificate, so it's an encrypted key pair between us and the user. So we have all the information that we need to decrypt it.
So SSL dump will just do that all for us.
Create it all in a dump file, and then it's just simply a matter of grepping.
Right. So what would we grep?
You can grab a combination of things till you find the right passphrase, or basically we're going to look for like pass WD or PASS or email, password, all the things that might.
And then it would be there in plain text.
It would be in plain text, but not only that, it's going to show us the string of traffic that actually contains the email logon and the password. Logon's another one to search for, by the way.
Okay, so we've got what site they were going to, their username, their password.
Yep. Then you've completely owned the box.
Now, there's one problem with your attack here, and that is when you're the victim of this attack, you're going to get their fake certificate, and that's going to pop up and say, hey, you're trying to go to Gmail, but this certificate just isn't signed, it's not correct.
Yep.
You know, what do you want to do? And if you click yes, well, then you've accepted the fake certificate.
Exactly.
So you're relying on user error. It's kind of like a phishing attack.
It kind of is, and if you examine the certificate and show the details, it'll say it's not a trusted certificate, and you can look at where it's from.
So
we
there's
can
your
create
white
it
hat.
to
That's,
look at,
that's how you protect yourself, is
that
just
is-
don't accept
that is
those
how you
from
protect
trusted
yourself,
sources.
yep. But hopefully next month I can one-up you.
Oh no, you're not going to one-up me again.
Just remember, embedded objects are your friends.
Sounds like fun. All right, so if you'd like any more information about any of the stuff we talked about here, go ahead and head over to the show notes, hak5.org. Last month's trivia question was, what is the TIA designation for Cat5 cable?
That was correctly answered by Tony from northeastern Pennsylvania, who wrote, the designation for Cat5 cable by the TIA is EIA TIA 568.
Wikipedia is your friend. So, there was actually two parts to that trivia question, the second part being, what is the name of my cat? Which is not on Wikipedia. My cat's name is Kerberos.
She protects the network.
So that was correctly answered by Plaster from Pound Hak5 and Tom B from Boston, UK. Now, we've hooked them all up with gift certificates at allofmp3.com for about 285 rubles. That's about 500 megabytes of UnDRM music. Enjoy the legitimate music.
So, in recent news, there's been a lot of controversy about a new worm. With that said, we have this month's trivia question. What is Table X?
Send your responses to trivia@hak5.org. Now, coming up next
Is a fantastic exclusive. We had the chance to interview a game developer working on the hot new total conversion of Goldeneye, Goldeneye Source.
This is some really hot stuff. They're putting Goldeneye, the classic from the N64, with the HL2 engine. Gorgeous. So let's take a look at that. Joining us here is Aaron, an independent game developer that's working on the wildly popular Goldeneye Source Half-Life conversion. Now, Goldeneye 007 has a place in many gamers' hearts since its original release in 1997 on the N64. Aaron, thank you for coming. What can you tell us about the Goldeneye Source?
Goldeneye Source is, like you said, total conversion for Half-Life 2. Our goal is to recreate every aspect of the original Nintendo 64 version.
And how'd you get involved in this project?
Someone mentioned it on some forums, and did a little research on it. Seemed great. Became part of the community, and posted some of my own work, and they actually picked me up as a team member.
And what do you do? What role do you play in the game development?
I'm a modeler, and I make anything from weapons to props to map objects.
And what kind of experience do you have with modeling? What's your background there?
I started modeling quite recently. I started messing with 3D Studio Max and just picked it up.
And have you ever worked with game development before? Are there any other mods?
I had a little bit of experience before. I had worked on a Battlefield 1942 mod called Galactic Conquest.
Okay. And how do you guys collaborate with this mod, since it's all online, I assume?
Right. Communication is a little bit limited, but we do have IRC in the forums, and we do have TeamSpeak dev member sessions, and we get quite a bit done.
So what's it like developing a game online rather than the traditional sense?
Like I said, communication is a little bit more limited. We don't have the benefit of being in an office together, things like that. But I think we manage.
Now, there's been some other mods that have had commercial success, most notably
Right.
Counter-Strike or Day of Defeat. Is this something that you're pursuing professionally?
Professionally, I don't think this is something I want to take anywhere, but as a side thing, I think it's great, and I really enjoy doing it. But definitely are people in the mod community who want to take this to the next level and become game developers.
So what would you say to any aspiring game developers?
Just find a program you're comfortable working with, and practice makes perfect. Just takes time, really, and you'll get the hang of it.
Okay, and as for Goldeneye Source, when can we expect to see a playable version of this?
Right now we're pushing for a Christmas release, a beta release for the public, and it's going to include a few maps, some weapons, and character models.
And what do you guys plan to include in the final release? I mean, can we see some of the more fun features of 007, like the paintballs, the slappers,
absolutely.
the big heads?
All that stuff's going to be in there. It's just going to be a ball of play.
Awesome. Now, you were able to pull some strings. You've got with you here some exclusive game footage?
Right. Talked to a few people, put together some game footage. And
Great, so let's take a look. What are we seeing right here?
We got here is a brief runaround of the Backzone facility, just to give viewers an idea of what we're trying to accomplish and what we're working on.
You know, it looks like with the Half-Life 2 engine, the increased textures and everything, it's really making this game vivid and pop, but at the same time, it looks like it's pretty much staying true to the original facility as far as I can remember it.
Yeah, we're keeping it, we're representing the original in every aspect. I mean, it's no different.
And this, of course, is just Egyptian or...
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people will recognize this already. It's Egyptian. It's one of our pretty much finished up maps.
And it looks like you've taken, put your own creative flavor in here with that little pond of water.
Yeah, the pond wrapper added it. We felt the original Goldeneye engine couldn't give enough life to the map, so we figured we'd add our own little things and help it along, give it more life.
Yeah, it's definitely bringing it out of the old 1997 technology and enabling you guys to make it a game that I'd love to play, yeah. So, wow, and this lighting is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, Half-Life 2 really, the engine really enables us to give it a lot more life and feeling than previously possible, and it's great.
Yeah, it's going to be some great multiplayer. Aaron, that looks amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the exclusive footage. Where can anybody find more information about Goldeneye Source?
If you want to find out more, go ahead and head over to www.goldeneyesource.com. We have some very active forums and new content that's actually posted quite frequently.
Great. Well, we are looking forward to the playable demo. Definitely. Thanks so much.
For the last 6 years, a war has been raging on the internet. Terrorist versus counter-terrorist. Countless noobs have been owned. Numerous hostages have been sacrificed.
Okay, let's go.
And now, the headshots that rang across servers all over the internet are coming to the silver screen. This summer, Microshaft Entertainment Group presents... Counter-Strike, the second spawning. Camping at a theater near you.
Harrison, I was thinking about that attack that we did last month.
Right, the Arcast poisoning attack.
Right, we were at the coffee shop and we were on the Wi-Fi sniffing that guy's packets and we could see all of his instant message communications in clear text.
Yeah, reading passwords too.
Right. Now, I was thinking there's some plugins for, like, Game to encrypt your stuff or Trillion.
Yeah, but the problem with those is, first of all, Trillion is cracked. And second of all, with Game, you have to have both clients have to have the same plugin installed.
Right, and that doesn't encrypt all of your other traffic. So
right,
I figured,
it's just specific to
why don't we let everybody know what we use here to encrypt our traffic and stay secure while we're on unencrypted wireless communications.
Okay, well, we use a VPN, which is a virtual private network.
And that's basically a tunnel between you and the server that's encrypted, encapsulated. If you were to sniff it, you wouldn't see anything but garbage.
Just a bunch of garbage.
Now, we use Server 2003 here.
Right, but you don't have to use Windows Server 2003. You can also do it in XP, right?
Yeah, that's one of the most overlooked features of Windows XP is there's actually a VPN server built in. It's not as robust as the Server 2003, but the only main limitation is that you can only have one concurrent user.
Well, for a home network, that's not too bad, though.
No, it's not bad at all. I use it at work to come into the home network and be able to get access to my MP3s, stream music if I don't have my iPod on me.
Cool, well, why don't you show us how we do it?
Sure, it's real easy. Just open up Network Connections, and we create a new connection, and we're going to create an advanced connection and accept incoming connections. Then we're going to skip that, go to Allow Virtual Private Connections. We'll select a user, and then we'll click Properties on TCP/IP, and this is where we specify the IP range that we're going to assign to the users that log into the system.
But if you use an XP, that's not really important because you only have one.
Well, it's just important to have a range, but
so that
there's only one IP address that's going to be used because it's one concurrent connection. So next, finish, and the only last step is to make sure that your port forwarding, in this case, it's 1723 because it's point-to-point tunneling protocol. So just make sure you port forward that to your router, right, to the server, and then we've got our incoming connection.
All right, well, what do we have to do on the client end?
Now, the client end can be Mac, Linux, Windows XP, Windows 2000. There's
Right.
even a download for Windows 98 and below.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll have links to all that in the show notes.
Okay.
And to do that in XP, just create a new connection again. And we're going to do this, we're going to choose a network at my workplace, VPN, and then give it a name. I'm going to call it home. And tell it not to dial an initial connection because we're not on dial-up. I'm going to give it the
Public IP address.
public IP address or your DNS if you
Right.
have service like that. And then after that, you just enter in your credentials. So I'm going to give it my username and password. And save that and connect. And there we go. We're
Yeah, that's
connected
pretty
to the
easy.
home network. And if we go over to details, you can see that we've been assigned the IP address at 192.168.2.108.
Okay.
And that the server's on 2.100. So all I have to do is go to / the server's IP address.
There you
And
go.
there we go.
That's
So-
all the shared files.
Right, so now I can access all of my stuff that I have shared on my computer.
Well, you can also do some pretty cool things as well. Like, for example, you can access all of your shared iTunes music, and
Yeah, and if you've got an Airport Express,
then you can log into your network and blast your
yeah,
your
your
roommate
roommate.
away with music on the stereo.
that's a lot of fun when Wes is home and not expecting it.
Yep. So this is a great thing to do, and we highly recommend it for anybody who's planning on using unsecured wireless networks. Today we're going to talk about buffer overflow attacks. Now, buffer overflow attacks are the most popular method for attackers to perform arbitrary code execution. Now, arbitrary code execution, in case you don't know, is where, like, let's say he has a script or, some code, and I have some code. I'm going to send my code to his and basically, make some shit happen. So, before we talk about all that, though, I'm going to go ahead and, let's break it down and make it simple and start off by explaining what exactly a buffer is.
All right, a buffer is basically allocated memory that a programmer creates and uses so that he can store and manipulate his data.
Oh, yeah, well, so let's think about this from the hacker's point of view. Basically, we got this buffer. Now, we're going to fill it up and then continue to pass data to it until it overflows. And that data that overflows has to go somewhere, so it goes to an adjacent or, the next memory slot.
And with that memory slot, now we have access to run our own code, possibly pass in some of our, some assembly or some C.
Right. That's
call to a function.
That's assuming that the next memory slot contains a function call or executable code.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, well, it is, but you want to make sure that you really, have a good idea of where your code is going. Maybe it's not the simplest thing in the world to do, but
Yeah.
let's think of a real-world example. So we have, for example, a firewall and its firmware, okay? So the firmware has to accept the password and make sure that it's valid. So we're going to write a piece of code or some software that sends the password and fills that buffer up, then continues passing data to that buffer. And after the password is filled up, assuming that the developer didn't write a program to check the size of the password, we can write or inject our own machine or assembly code to manipulate what the program does from there. So we can get root access or change users, modify users, change other settings, that sort of thing.
And that would bring a great up example of what languages do you actually use to do these type of buffer overflow attacks. And I guess we'll go into lower level languages, which is probably the best way to do it with assembly and C.
Keep in mind that's because C and assembly, C++, lower level languages require that the programmer manage the size of the buffers. Now, it doesn't necessarily make them bad languages because they're very powerful and very useful. It just means that they have to be very careful to manage the size of their buffers.
Right.
But there's languages like Lisp.
Lisp and Java and Perl.
Okay.
Great examples of programming language that actually allocate the memory through compile.
And that's like runtime checking and static analysis.
Exactly.
So
I guess we'll go into a live example of how to actually do this.
This is an example that we can all relate to because it has to do with beer. So let's assume that this glass right here is a buffer and this is a buffer as well. Now, John is the malicious user. Mallory,
Hacker.
right? You're Mallory, the malicious user.
I'm Mallory,
And
the malicious hacker.
I'm going to be Bob. Okay.
Bob the ugly function.
Hey, come on, man! Don't be too harsh here.
Bob the ugly
I'm the
function.
function that is going to be calling this memory, the data that's in this memory slot. So
However,
okay.
this is the actual buffer that we use for the actual login, for example.
So this is the login. This is the buffer that takes the password. Okay.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and pour some, enter in our username and login and password, blah blah blah, and then eventually we're going to give it.
Come on, we're on camera. We're going to use blah blah blah.
All right, we're going to use the blah blah blah.
Okay.
And then we're eventually going to go ahead.
Oh.
Pass it some extra variable or extra input. And then give him a little bit of extra information.
See, the thing is, not only did he spill beer on my fingers, but he also passed data into my buffer. So, me being the function call in this buffer, I have to read it and see what see what's in it. So,
right. So now this is when I actually take control of him, and he doesn't really realize it. So,
wow, that tastes a lot like assembly.
Yeah, a lot
like
assembly.
I just can't stop drinking it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So once you continue drinking, See, this is where I started to take complete control over him, and he basically has to listen to everything that I say.
Now, why is it...
What? Shut up.
What is this?
Shush. And basically, I'm going to take complete control of him, and this is our normal buffer. No, shut up. And this is our normal buffer. He's drinking up that assembly code, or some C code. Are you enjoying it?
It's so good. God, I love assembly. I don't know what to say.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. How about I give you some more? Okay.
Go for it.
We're going to inject some more code into him, and I'd really love to have some root access. So why don't you go ahead and drink up, buddy?
Wow, access granted. Come on in. Why don't you just go ahead and change whatever users you want? You can modify my settings. I don't care. I'm just going to keep drinking,
And that's the basic overview of how buffer overflow works. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Alright, D, I think that just about wraps up this episode of Hak5. If any of you have any questions or comments, please feel free to shoot us an email directly or post in the forums at hak5.org/forums. All of our show notes will be posted there as well.
I'd also like to thank everybody that's been seeding those torrents and everybody that's donated. It's greatly appreciated. Also, there's lots of great things happening in IPTV, most notably December 15th at No Regrets in Toronto, Canada. There's a Tech TV holiday meetup. You can find more information on that at techtvholidaymeetup.com.
So, if you have a chance, come on up, have a drink with us, and many other names in tech entertainment.
And speaking of tech entertainment, you can head over to techtainment.net and vote for us as well as many other IPTV shows in the new Techtainment directory. So, until next month, I'm Darren.
And I'm Wes. Trust your techno-lust.
Quiet on the set!
How are we ending this, though? I forgot.
By bullshit.
Okay.
It's the 5th right now. The fifth. Hang on, I got a 5th right here. You want some? Compliments of Test Mad?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I am so sorry it's empty. I think I drank it all. Thank you, Test Mad.
Appreciate it.
Goldeneye Source is a total conversion mod for Half-Life 2, and it...
Hi, Kirby.
And playing video games, and we just kind of broke out into discussion. It's Street Fighter frickin' Okay, as I was saying, we're gonna have to spray paint some plexi.
Yeah, I think I've had a little too much to drink to really talk right now.
Now, there's a few different solutions to this. The most predominant...
From a hacker's point of view, our objective is to...
Just stopped!
What is that?
So, me and Darren are sitting here, and that's completely fucked it up.
Yeah.
You know what?
No. So that they can store and manipulate their data through their software.
Okay. You sound better when you're plugged in.
I am so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry.
1, 2.
I'm sorry. Hey, I did a mic check, you freaking moron. And so it's your fault.
Excuse what the
It's
fuck?
your fault.
You're gonna call this
It's
my
your
fault?
fault. Yeah. It's your fault. No. I am absolutely.
Oh! Ken pulls it off. And what? Noob! You got owned, son.